Hi, this is Jeff from the INTJ equation. I am joined again by Binyamin, an ISTP. He has his YouTube channel, which I'll post down in the description. He also had a music album released a few months ago, which I did the first interview. I'll link both of those as well once I get this all going. Oh,
Thanks,
cool.
man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. How you doing?
Good. Yeah. How you doing? Good to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you. So today we are going to go over some results I did. Binyamin has an OPS system, the objective personality system, typing cognitive resolution, and he had one of his teams type me. There's currently 11 people.
Just to clarify, they're not my teams, but I guess I'm kind of right now acting as the spokesperson.
Oh, okay. He's a part of it.
Like right now, the role that I'm playing on your channel at the moment is the spokesperson, I guess. But I guess I founded it, but it's not really something that the teams are independent, and I help out as much as I can. But I like to think that they're not my teams for sure.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I worded that wrong. I apologize.
No, it's all good. I just wanted to clarify it, just because it's not the like this is just common what people think as well. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. And anyways, they typed me an ESTP, but I definitely don't resonate with that conclusion there.
Great.
Okay. But yeah. So would you like to tell people a little bit more about it, more in depth?
So I guess the origins of it are less important. Today, really what we're doing is we're using the objective personality system, which we'll get into, I guess, because you're unfamiliar with it. And I guess the cognitive functions there are you could relate them to the Jungian ones, but also you could say that they're different because they're more of an amalgamation of coins rather than actual functions. So we can get into that. But the way the teams work is that you have an EP, an IJ, an EJ, and an IP. So all four of the human need directions. Oh, wow. I see we have Griff is in the house. How's it going, man? So yeah, you got all four of the human needs and all of the quadra, like the socionics quadra, basically. And so in that way, the theory is we're projecting less and we're assuming less, because if I'm seeing something that could be TI, I have someone else who has TI on my team and we can talk about it and contrast it with two people who have FI, for example, right?
Okay.
Or if I'm seeing someone who's an IP, I can contrast with an EJ or stuff like that, right?
So you basically have one person from each quadra to kind of balance everything out.
Yeah, that's the theory anyways. So in practice, it's a little bit more difficult. People, I guess, first off, we have to learn to work on a team with people that are completely different from us, cognitively different. And then beyond that, it's just it comes down to how the team works together and less on how well individually we are.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. All right. So we'll go ahead and get into the meat of it. I'll go ahead and attempt to share the screen for the first time ever. All right. So I was typed by Cognitive Resolution Team 6. That's Rob, QB, Lucy, Carlos, and Inbar.
Yep.
And typed me as an ESTP. And there's all these dichotomies called coins, which I know nothing about. So I guess we can go ahead and start there.
Yeah.
So what is gather and organize? Is that like the perceiving and judgment in MBTI, or?
So the gather versus organize is pretty much one of the opposite things. So you were seeing INTJ. So NI is an organizing function, and they're seeing ESTP. So that's SE lead, and that's a gathering function, right? So that's pretty much one of the main contrasts between how you typed yourself INTJ and how they're seeing you as ESTP. So the organize is for ESTP and for INTJ, the organizing function is the NI. And so that's just going to be narrowing down in the abstract, right? So ESTPs are going to see their NI and INTJs are going to see their NI. And it's just what's obvious, what are you obligated to do versus what do you want to do, what are you aspiring to, right?
Okay, so they got me as gathering, which is like the
Right.
SE basically.
It's SE or NE, right?
SE or any. Okay.
Are the gathering functions, yeah.
And some of the
So
notes. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
I'll just read the notes here. Bad guys are the ones who are trying to control us and slow down change. I guess I was kind of talking about like it's not like a conscious thing, but how SJs, they're kind of usually the ones that are in charge and they don't like change.
Right. So
Okay.
so yeah, you said it right. The SJs or the NJs, it's those are called the blasters, I guess. And so you would probably have consume over blast. And even if you are an INTJ, you could have consume over blast. So it definitely doesn't it definitely doesn't mean you're a gatherer. It just means you are consume over blast. And consume, I guess, is a kind of gather. So we can go into that a little bit. But you see lower down on the consume blast coin, they should have put you as savior consume, and that should have been the reason for savior consume. That reason there as a gatherer is a little more weak.
Savior consume. I'm sorry,
Right.
I know nothing about this system.
Right. So okay. So exactly. So we'll talk about consume and blast are animals. That's what they coined them. But it's basically when two functions work together, it creates some kind of cognitive behavior, if you will. So basically, the extroverted perceiving function and the introverted judging function together form consume. So what are you doing? You're looking at, like, we all have consume to some degree. So what you're doing is you're looking at like the vast array of pathways, possibilities, opportunities, and you're seeing which one am I going to take. You're bringing it towards yourself, right? And you're using whatever introverted judging function you have to process those pathways, right? And so that's basically what consume is doing. It's merging those two cognitive functions together.
Okay, interesting.
So the opposite of that is blast. And so blast is the extroverted judging and the introverted perceiving. And what it's doing is it's taking your known information and seeing what is needed in the tribe and bringing that known information to the tribe to whatever extroverted judging you're trying to do to accomplish some kind of goal extrovertedly, right? And that's the classic J isms, is seeing that void and trying to fill that void, right? It's not for you. It's taking the information you've gathered your whole life or whatever you've narrowed down on and bringing it to the tribe to help them or to another person to help them, right? And so those two contrast. And so what they're saying there is you're seeing the bad guys as the ones who are trying to control, quote unquote, and slow down change. And so the control is this. It's like, from their perspective, they're trying to help everybody. They're stepping in to help everybody. And yeah, they need to control a little bit so that everybody goes in the same way. Otherwise, we're just going to be, playing tug of war and not moving, right? We need to push the block all in the same direction. We can't just push it all in different directions. It just won't move, right? So
Kind of like how society's going now.
What's that?
Kind of like how society's going now, at least here in the U.S., that's for sure.
Right. Yeah. Like democracy, for example. Yeah, it's exactly that. So the blasters are the ones who are going to unite people on some common path, some common goal, and get things moving. And it's not for self, it's for others, right? And so from the consume point of view, that's going to be, hey, they're the bad guys, they're the controllers, they're the ones in charge, right? And from the blast point of view, they're going to see the consumers as, oh, they're selfish. They're looking at all the past and they're taking it for the self, right? They're gluttonous, they're that kind of thing. And that's how the blasters are going to see consume. And so I didn't see your video, but if their observation was that's you were more on the bad guys are the ones that are controlling everybody.
Okay. I thought they were trying to make it sound like a conspiratorial nut job or something like that, which I am.
Right. No.
I guess.
Yeah. So we're all gonna sort of fall on one of those sides. So basically, you revealed that you're probably consume over blast, which you still could be an INTJ with that, but you're not going to be a standard INTJ.
Really, I think most INTJs don't really go with the grain, really, and they kind of do their own thing. It's kind of surprising there.
So the NJ-ism in OPS, at least, is trying to they're going to have like this vision, and that's going to be good for everybody. That's going to service everybody, and they're going to try to get everybody on board with this vision. And they're not going to feel bad about pushing it because it's in the end, it's for them anyways, right? That's kind of the way the NJs operate in OPS, at least. Yeah.
Okay.
The standard ones.
And is there a difference between like an OPS INTJ or an OPS ESTP compared to what standard typology MBTI?
So basically, the difference is these coins. So what an NI DOM is based on these coins is you're organizing and you're an intuitive, right? So those two together make you into an NI DOM. Also an observer. An observer is someone who's more stuck processing, I guess, pathways or opportunities or just the control and the chaos. They're more stuck on the things, on getting the computer working, on that kind of thing, right? Whereas the deciders, which is like the IPs and the EJs, are more stuck processing people, the fear of the tribe or the fear of self or not seeing self or things like this, the self-tribe coin, right?
Okay, so I'm guessing the sensory and intuition is pretty self-explanatory. But it's kind of odd that they got me as a sensor, because I was really talking about big themes and big what ifs and big possibilities. Is there like a difference, or is that the pretty straightforward one of the two, or all these, I should say?
So everyone's going to talk about and use intuition, right? Another thing in OPS, the TI and the NI get confused a lot, especially if you have both of those functions. So they say SE and I axis, but OE above, but OE, so you're SE. So what they were saying, so they didn't actually see you doing SE, right? They didn't see you actually as a sensor, is what I'm reading here. They saw that you have the SE and I axis, and you're a gatherer. So that means you must be SE, right? But again, that gathering coin that they proved before was proving consume, not necessarily proving gather, right? So what the SE is responsible to do is to seek out opportunities, to be aware, like basically what you see SE as well. Usually it's being aware of your surroundings, processing what's bigger, what's smaller, sizing things up, that kind of stuff. And it's something that's on, like, even for myself, having SE high in my stack, it's not something that I'm conscious of or I know is happening. It feels like everybody's just doing SE all the time, right? I'm not even conscious that SE is a function. Yeah.
Okay. And I know you talked about self and tribe a little bit. Can you go over that a little bit more?
Right. Okay. So that's another minor difference here. It's not going to be as major, but if they were seeing you as consume over blast and you are an INTJ, then you have to be self above tribe, right? So basically that coin is going to be you are the final arbitrator of your destiny, your decision. You don't need to consult with anyone to make any decisions. The buck stops with you, right?
Yeah.
And that's usually what the self above tribes are doing, right? The tribe above self are at least, like, they might make the final decision, but they're at least responsible to go out and maybe ping everyone or look what the tribe needs before they take that decision, right?
Okay, so it's kind of like you're more independent basically and don't really need a consensus.
Right.
Okay.
So again, I didn't see your video, but whereas the self tribe is there, they saw you as self as high. He is the decider, others are the problem. I don't know what they meant by that, but others are the problem. You're the one who makes decisions. I don't know.
Okay. And thinking and feeling is very is self-explanatory, and there's no notes on that.
Right. Yeah. I've noticed that also from our first talk, that you are less expressive of your feelings. You're leaving a little bit of a void on how you feel about things, and you're more willing to express, like, bang out the logic and figure things out in the moment. Yeah. So I think that's, that there's no contradiction.
And a couple of them left notes down here. I'll let somebody else do this too. I'll read this out from RQB. I think I saw him on one of your videos. He's an ENFJ, I believe.
Yeah, Rob. He just puts the Q in there just to I don't know, move people. I guess I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm sitting there trying to pronounce it. Like, okay, I'll just do that.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey Jeff. I know this is the type you identify as with an MBTI, but personally, I see objective personality as a different system, similar to how socionics MBTI differ from their core definitions. SE, here are examples of where this pattern's happening, observing reality, leading to a conclusion. And I, later, TI, prove it to me. This is my reasoning. You are the decider of what works, makes sense. Savior, sleep. NI plus TE, you seem to be processing what could happen in a savior state, but the NI is still a demon because the SE comes first.
Yeah.
2X NI. Okay, let's
So a few other things I noticed. I also have demon NI, right? My NI is below my SE. So a few other things I notice is I might know what's coming, but I won't be able to make any decision or push on that, or I feel even weird talking about what I see coming. Like when I do predict what's coming, I'll have to wait. Like it might not happen. I'll have to wait and see. It could be different. It could be different. So that's when I see like the savior NIs are like, oh, that's going to happen. So I'm not going to go there, or I'm not going to do that. I already know what's going to happen. I don't need to watch that movie. I already know what's going to happen in the movie. I don't need to go to that school and I'll get a degree and it'll just be a waste of money. I already know that. Right. And the SE is like, oh no, I don't know that. I'm going to go to that school. I'm going to get the degree, and maybe there'll be an opportunity. Maybe it'll open up more doors for me. Right. So I'll go through that. Right. That's kind of where the SE is looking. Yeah.
Okay. So savior, just to kind of get it, savior is kind of like someone who's more like confident with their intuition then?
Savior is whoever is more responsible for whatever function. So I'm savior SE. It just means my SE is above NI. It's just lingo, right? But it means I'm more responsible for the SE. I'm not responsible to act off of the NI, right? I aspire to the NI. I'll see the NI all day. Every time I do use NI, I'll be all proud of myself, right?
Yeah.
Especially when I'm right about it. And whenever I'm good with the SE, I'm not going to brag or boast about it. It's just like obvious. Yeah, definitely. I'm doing the SE. There's no big deal about the TI either. Like I'm not going to go around being like, hey, look how smart I was. I figured out this problem. No, I figured out the problem. I figured out another problem. Figure out 12 problems today, right? It's not a big deal.
Okay. It kind of matches up with the pessimistic and optimistic function theory. I don't know if you're too familiar with that.
Yeah, go ahead. Explain it just for people who don't know as well.
Yeah, so like the first and third function and your cognitive stack, or the optimistic functions, basically they're ones that you kind of enjoy using, the kind of ones you default to. That's why like there's the loopers and stuff. I guess Dave calls it jumpers, right? We get more in that a little bit. And the pessimistic functions are ones that you're less likely to want to use the second and fourth function. So INTJ would be like the NIFI, which you get stuck in the infamous loop that people talk about. And there's a T and SC, the ones you kind of need to develop later in life. Or develop, I guess.
So as an ISTP, it would be the TINI, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny that. Yeah.
What do you mean, like about the theory, or
about if I'm seeing that? I haven't tested that enough. That's, again, I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to do my NI, but yeah, I would guess that it probably lines up, but not at all times.
Okay. And what is a jumper for people? I'm a little bit familiar with that. Those are just like people who prefer to use their first and third function rather than their second and fourth function. Is that right?
Right. So I've got my own interpretation on this, but basically, yeah, OPS right now, the founders of OPS still have the grant stack going on. So they have the first, second, third function. And yeah, what you're saying is the first and third. But what I've seen from Young is he never said an introverted and an extroverted function need to be like the first two in your stack, right? He just said that If you're a lead thinker, you need to pick intuition as your auxiliary or sensing as your auxiliary. He didn't say that it has to be an extroverted sensing or an extroverted intuition, right? So actually, even in the academic world, there were 32 types up until John Beebe eliminated them. Myers-Briggs eliminated down to 16 really early. Socionics also eliminated down to 16, but in the academic world, they still had the 32 type model. And so that's basically OPS is still doing the 32 type model.
Oh, okay. So what do they I know they type me as ESTP, as you can see here. Would I be a jumper, or would I be whatever the opposite?
That would be a standard one, right? Because you have one extroverted and one introverted, right?
Okay.
Right. If you were an INTJ and still self above tribe, so you'd be NIFI. So you'd have two introverted functions as your saviors. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm savior SBTI.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Or potentially even an INFJ with NITI.
An INFJ, really?
Right. I don't know.
Okay, so can you explain this little stack right here? Yeah, right there, kind of in the middle.
Yeah, they actually added that in. That's from Objective Personality. So basically, what Objective Personality does is they put your grant stack there, SE, TI, FE, NI, right? That's the grant stack of the ESTP.
Mm-hmm.
And then beside there, they put the savior and then the activation, right? So you have savior 1, savior 2, right? It's the grant stack. And then over on the side, they've got the animal stack, right? So you've got the consume, then the sleep, then the blast and the play. That's like how your animals work. And so the third one's activated. And basically what's happening is your NI is activated because you, so your SE, your consume sleep activates your TI, because consume and sleep are both using TI, right? So it's TI with SE is consume, TI with NI is sleep, right? And so both of those are there. And then the blast is your NI is being activated with the blast. So actually your SE is not activated. Your SE is only activated once because they're putting you as play last. So your SE is rarely being used with play. It's mostly being used with consume.
Okay.
So basically that would give you a little bit more weight on your NI, even though you would be like, that would make you a glass lizard, which what they call it. So it's like, technically you have SE first, but your NI is being used way more in your day-to-day life.
And how do they come to that conclusion again?
Just based on your stacking. So you're using sleep and blast. And sleep and blast both use NI.
Okay, there's just a lot of jargon here that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, slow me down as soon as you don't understand anything. It's a lot to catch up on. Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of conclusions did they come in where they wanted to change this up from MBTI or John Beebe's model or anybody's model, really? Well, they seem like they drastically changed everything.
So I know a little bit about the founding of OP. So basically what they did, they were around doing Myers-Briggs first. Their channel really grew, and then they bounced for a while, did something else. And then they came back after 7 years of trying to figure out how to objectively type people. Because like you're aware of, everyone types people differently. Like there's no real system to type someone correctly. Like two practitioners will get a different type, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, it's up to the person to decide, this is my type, this is what I identify with. Therefore, I'm going to put it on my name in the YouTube channel. And even if that's not your type, this is what you identify with. No one is allowed to challenge that, right? So what they did was they tried to figure out, okay, let's try to split up and type the same person and then come back together and see if we got the same thing. And sure enough, like you predicted, more than 50% of the time they would split up and they would come back and they'd have a different type. Like, how are you seeing this? How are you seeing this? How are you seeing this? Right? And so they had to add coins, like they had to go to 32 to get more accurate results. Because without that, they weren't seeing the same things. And they had to they had to develop the animal system to explain certain things in order to get more accurate with each other. And so it was a really TE system. It's like, okay, this is just what's working. We don't know why. We don't know if this is cognition. We just know this is how we're getting to the same type, is by adding this and making the system the way it is, right? And so now, after the system exists and they're able to type the same by going to a different room and coming back together, now it's like, okay, so what does this system even mean? Like, what's going on here? Why is this working, right? That's kind of where all of us are coming in.
Okay, and Dave, he's an INTJ, right?
Right, yeah.
And his girlfriend is Shan, I think her name is.
Right, yeah.
What type is she?
ENTJ.
ENTJ. Interesting combo. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And you talked about animals a little bit. Can you break that down a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So like I said, the animals are just the two functions. So you can't get the TI and the FE into an animal. You can't have them. It's either TI or FE, right?
Yeah.
So, and same thing with the I guess for you it's TEFI if you're an INTJ, right? You can't. So that doesn't make an animal. What does make an animal is if you have a perceiving function with a judging function, right? So there's 4 ways any type, in like a 4-function model, there's 4 ways any type can make an animal based on their 4 functions, right?
Okay. It's interesting. Okay, so it's just kind of like the dichotomies, like you can't have one without the other, or you can't have one with you can't have like you said, TE and FE. You can't have those two, right? So that's kind of the animal.
Right. That won't create an animal, right? You can't do. So it's just it's like a 4-function model, and you've got a judging function and a perceiving function. Those two come together. They work together to create some kind of behavior.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and like all this stuff isn't completely fleshed out. Like I would like to say that it is, but I feel like we're sort of grasping at the leaves and the outer. We're not really at the core of what the animals actually are yet. I feel like we're getting there. We're understanding it more and more all the time by having just a lot of people who are typed and seeing the commonalities between everyone who has consume, for example. So consume is different for everybody. So what's the core of consume? That's really a question, because to be able to type someone, you don't need to understand what the core is. You don't, like, this analogy I always bring, but it's like to know how to catch a bear, you don't need to know how many chambers a bear has in its heart. You don't need to know how a bear breathes. You don't need to know its BPM range, right? You don't need to know how much it weighs. You can set up a bear trap, you can catch a bear. And then afterwards, after you've caught the bear, now you can go and analyze, okay, well, what kind of heart does it have? What kind of life cycle does it have? How long does it hibernate for, right? And so that's kind of what I feel that they're doing is, okay, now they're able to actually type people according to this system, right? Every system is just cutting the cake in a different way. But according to this system, they're able to type you. Now that you're typed, what does that even mean? What is TI really, right? And so that's really what I feel Dave and Shan are doing, and the community is also doing at the same time.
Okay.
Harry, you got Imbar here, so you can ask him questions. He can come and defend his report here. He's in your
who's
chat.
here? Inbar. Okay.
Yeah. One of the guys on the team.
All right. There's a way I could probably get him on here to talk. I don't know if he's willing to do that. But we'll go ahead and so Inbar, what can I ask you?
It looks like he's catching up.
Catching up.
Yeah. So I guess he's like on 2 times speed or something. He'll get to us at some point.
Okay. Yeah. We'll come to audience questions here in a few. I want to go. I hear a lot on your channel, and that can confuse me, like masculine, feminine, TE, and TI, right. And I don't even know what DE stands for down here.
DE is extroverted judging.
Extroverted judging. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the feminine and masculine? What's that mean exactly?
So here's what they were seeing. They were seeing masculine sensory, which means you've got feminine intuition. So I hate to go back to like the original definitions, but yeah, okay. So the definition is movable versus non-movable, and that sounds really dumb. But it's like I guess stubborn, and how you perceive the extroverted world, I guess. So with sensory, you're gonna smash things to solve them. If it's a masculine sensory, you're going to push against the sensory world because they say you have masculine sensory. So you're like, your printer's not working, you're going to punch at it and break it and tear it apart in order to get it to work. Like, you're not going to be delicate with it, right?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
It's about right. Yeah. Whereas feminine sensory will be more delicate, will let the sensory move them. And same thing with the extroverted judging function. So if that's masculine, it basically means your introverted judging function is feminine, right? So it means you have a little softy on the inside. It means you see the tribe as aggressive. You're constantly pushing against other people so that they don't touch or affect your introverted identity. Because it's feminine, it's movable, and you need to protect it. And so all day long, all you're doing is fighting the tribe so that they don't even try to fight you, right? Like, you're preemptively being blunt with them, you're pushing on them, you're pointing at them in order to keep them not pointing at you, sort of thing.
Okay.
A very rough, bad explanation, but yeah.
All right. So we'll go ahead and I guess we'll take some, while I process this, we'll take some questions from the audience. Here's one from Oflamo. So if you have questions, go ahead and write it in the comments if you're listening. Oflamo asks, can fictional characters be typed by objective personality?
Why not? Yeah. I mean, have you seen the MBTI database or whatever, the personality database? Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
It's horrible. So everything can be typed. Like, so you've got like air is typed, fire is typed, iron is typed. Like, so I don't think objective personality could type those things, but fictional characters can be typed. Why not? They're based off of something that our mind is thinking is real in some way. So
okay.
The question more would be like, are they consistent, right? So like, if you have like a character throughout a whole TV series, right? Are they consistent? Do they change their type in the middle, right? Split personalities or being possessed aside, are they consistent? And then, yeah, so you can type them if they're consistent.
Yeah, I take fictional typing with a grain of salt because the writers and the actors and stuff like that, they don't really have type into consideration. So I think it's usually kind of an amalgamation of types, really.
Yeah, but they do have a lifetime of human experience and seeing people and consistency in people, right? Yeah. Like it does. It's a red flag if you see somebody change their personality in the middle of the day, or you know them one day and then the next week they're a different personality. That's a red flag. Like, we're looking for consistency in people. Mm-hmm. And so I guess when you write, you're also doing that. My issue would be, don't learn type from fictional characters. Learn type from real characters. But you can still type fictional characters.
Yeah, I just see like, I don't watch a lot of fiction, but like Big Bang Theory, Sheldon, I think he's kind of a cross between an INTJ and an INTP. He doesn't seem like one or the other. He kind of seems like both to me. I don't know if that makes any sense. Yeah.
So in objective personality, you would see that he's an organizer, right? Like at the first coin. He's not a gatherer. He doesn't like new experiences. He wants the same exact thing, the same song when he's sick, right? All that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. In terms of intuition and sensory, that would be a tough one. Just because he does get very controlling. Like, he is very controlling over the sensory, so it does point to SI in some way. Mm-hmm. And he does take things way too literally. So I guess I would say he's a sensor.
You would think Sheldon's a sensor?
Yeah, he takes things way too literally. He doesn't understand jokes.
Yeah, that kind of seems like an FE trickster thing for me. Like, people say a joke and I just don't get it. I don't know. I guess it kind of depends what lens you're looking at.
Right.
All right. We've got a question from Oh, go ahead.
No, and then the other thing, he's probably a thinker as well.
Yeah.
Self above tribe. He's not consulting the tribe.
Yeah, it definitely has an obsessive compulsive personality there.
Right. And where is he more stuck? Is he more stuck on processing people, or is he more stuck on processing control and chaos? Right.
Yeah.
So that would be a harder one to point to.
All right. We got Lorraine here. She asked, "Can you see your objective personality MM modality clearly?" I'm not sure what that means. I'm sure you do.
So we were talking about the double masculine, like the masculine tribe and the masculine sensory. So you were seeing the masculine sensory, like that you agree with to some degree?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
pretty aggressive, impatient with stuff for sure.
Right. And so then the counter to that coin would be the feminine intuition. I don't know if you see that, where your intuition is very movable. It's not stuck seeing a single perspective as much as tunnel vision sort of thing, not as tunnel vision as a masculine intuition.
Yeah, I think that's kind of intuition like that anyways. It's kind of always looking for possibilities and adaptability, any more than NI, I would say.
Right. NE more than NI, but then also you're not, I don't know if do you see yourself getting stuck there? Do you see yourself getting stuck on whatever possibility or whatever intuition you have? Or you're like, yeah, it could be like this, or it could be like this.
I'm trying to become more flexible and go with the flow. I know, like, when I try to make like a prediction or I will want something, like a lot of INTJs, they will not stop until they get what they want or what they envision. So
right.
I'm definitely trying to be, because, you know, another thing can open up and it could be a better opportunity, a better possibility, of course.
Right. So that's just the SE. That's just consciousness of the SE, I would think.
Okay.
So I was talking to someone with a masculine NI where he can't lay out the exact sensory steps how to get to whatever his NI goal is. Like the sensory is it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't, he let's say he wants to get married, right? It doesn't matter what his wife looks like. It doesn't matter. Like most of the sensory stuff does not matter to him. As long as like she meets these criteria to get him to his goal, like what color her hair is, it's not one of his checklists. It's not on the checklist, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas like a masculine sensory, or like even what are the stages in developing that relationship, like the masculine sensory will track that. It'll be like, okay, so first we're going to date for this long, and then we're going to, those sensory steps. Whereas the masculine intuition doesn't know what those sensory steps is. It just knows, like, it just sees the end goal. It's fixed on the end goal, and whatever sensory is going to help them get there, they're going to use. And I don't know. This is just from talking to him.
Okay.
But that's where like whereas like the masculine sensory, yeah, you do have an end goal, and the path you get there will change, but it's like you definitely have these steps, like these definable stages in getting there, I guess.
So can an INTJ and or ESTP, can they both have double masculine? I know they're kind of seen both as masculine types by a lot of people.
Yeah, you can have a feminine SE and yeah.
Does that make a difference between like the jumper and the other?
No, it doesn't make any difference. Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments from the audience out here? Yeah, Sheldon doesn't get jokes because he's ignorant of popular culture or pop culture. I don't really watch fiction or read fiction, and I haven't really kept up with that stuff in like 5-10 years. I guess I kind of am too.
Well, I would argue with you, but it's not worth it. It's all good. Ro. I think most of the jokes he just doesn't get because they just go over his head. He doesn't get the fact that they're
Yeah.
He's actually really in tune with pop culture. Well, at least whatever pop culture he's interested in.
Comics and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's pop culture today, right?
Everything is popular about comic books except comic books. It seems like the movies. And
yeah, yes, that's a good call. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know if Inbar, I don't know how to get him on the show if he's willing to, but if you have any comments, Inbar, go ahead and type them in there, or you could.
The other thing is you might notice is like SE in general is trying to see how, like, it's NI is saying everything's the same. Like, oh yeah, that's the same, that's the same, that's the same. SE is like, no, that could be different. That's different. That's different. So I don't know if, like, if someone's giving you some kind of intuitive analysis on something, the SE would be like, but there's this case here, and then there's this case here, and this, like, we've got to work out all of these nuances. And the NI is just like, oh yeah, I can see how that's a pattern, and let's move on, right? So I don't know where you would fall on that side either, but the SE would be more responsible to flesh out all the nuances.
Yeah, I just kind of take things as it is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's kind of my philosophy, and I can kind of see
right,
like where things are coming, how things connect together.
Oh, here, you got Rob in the chat too. How's it going, Rob?
Okay. Ironically, Big Bang Theory is pop culture. I'll put it here. Ironically, Big Bang Theory is pop culture, so Sheldon, therefore, pop culture. So Sheldon does it.
Great. Thanks, Rob.
All right. And I saw
good TI there.
And Ian, he made a comment too. This guy seems pretty OE. What is OE again?
Extroverted perceiving.
Extroverted perceiving. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like an ESTP, can you elaborate there more, Ian? How do you come to that conclusion? I'd be interested on his take on MDE. Me or who?
Yeah. So, how do you perceive people in general? Do you perceive them as aggressive? Are you blunt and straightforward with them in general?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually when I talk, it kind of gets me in trouble because I'm a little too blunt and straightforward.
Right. Do you anticipate that already? Like, are you already going into any conversation ready for some kind of conflict?
Yeah, that's why I usually just try to avoid people, I guess.
Do you see people as having questionable intentions as well most of the time until, yeah, that's the default?
Yeah. I would say that, I'm pretty paranoid. I think most INTJs are, at least unhealthy ones.
Yeah. So he said we saw a lot of outward aggression and a fuck off kind of attitude. Yeah.
That sounds pretty
yeah, that's masculine. So the good thing about that is you'll get all of the conflict out at the beginning of a talk or relationship or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then once all of that aggression is out, you can actually be calm, right? Or like you won't have a lot of resentment building up over people. Like you'll get it out right away. Whereas the people with feminine DE, they're not going to flesh that out right away. They'll have the resentment build up until it just explodes or they just bounce and don't talk to you anymore.
Yeah, I can kind of be resentful and I kind of pent things up. I think that's kind of what really low FI is, kind of keep it to yourself until you can't take it anymore.
Right. And so would you avoid conflict until you just can't avoid it anymore?
I think it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Like if I'm comfortable and familiar with somebody, I'll get it out. But if it's like a stranger or something, it kind of depends on the relationship. Like a coworker, yeah, I might pent it up. But like I work in a behavioral health hospital, a patient, I'll kind of lay down the law and just get it out and set my boundaries, I guess.
So it sounds roughly right now that they were right about the masculine DE. So the question then is that masculine FE or is that masculine TE, right? Are you more likely to argue or you're more likely to push on people's values and also that would give you either feminine TI or feminine FI, or like, are you really giggly and are your emotions moved really easily? Or is it more like your logic, you're able to wiggle out of any logical trap or whatever, that kind of thing? Feminine TI is weird to me. I have to admit that I haven't met enough feminine TI and processed that enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty straightforward. My emotions don't really change a lot. And it's pretty, like, even they said it's, it's pretty flat. And I don't think FE users are very flat that often, So it's really, really low.
Yeah. Like if someone cracked a joke, would you laugh? Or I guess everyone would, but I mean,
I usually don't laugh at people's jokes. I either find it as cliche or I just don't get it. It goes over my head.
Yeah, okay, that doesn't mean anything then. Yeah.
Like kids usually make me laugh more than adults because I guess they just kind of say it off the fly, and adults are kind of trying to make me laugh. I don't know if that makes any sense.
So like Rob said, ironically, Big Bang, like that whole thing there up there. So I kind of laughed at that. You saw my feminine feelings there, right? That kind of moved my feelings. You didn't really. So, right. So that would point to masculine feelings in some way. And if you are masculine DE, so they might be right about you having feminine TI as your thinking function. In OPS at least, right?
Maybe. I think I'm really overwhelmed right now because like I'm trying to focus on a lot of things at once. I'm focused on this, focused on your conversation, reading the comments and stuff like that. And
yeah.
I mean, INTJs don't multitask very well, so I don't know.
Yeah. No, I get that. That's no worries, man.
Flat because ST Demon Play 2, what Inbar says here. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, Rob, I knew it was a joke, and that's why I laughed. Okay, yeah. Inbar said something about Demon Play. So Inbar also has Play Last. So they typed you as Play Last. So I don't know if you identify with that or not. You could be even Blast Last, right?
Does that mean get work done first and play last? Is that?
Yeah. So again, play is a very bad word for what it actually is. So like those are the other two animals we didn't talk about. So we talked about the consume and the blast, and the play and the sleep we didn't really talk about. So play is basically just it's the interaction with the extroverted judging and the extroverted perceiving, right? In essence, that's what it is, right? And so when they interact, a lot of the time it ends up being just the conferencing, the interacting, like learning from each other, sharing information, doing a ping pong. So like right now, what we're doing is we're kind of having an info conversation. You're not jumping in, you're not making jokes. I'm not like adding on, right? We're not really doing the play thing. Like you're sitting off, letting me talk, and then it's your turn to talk, right? So there's not much. That's kind of how you catch play. What play is in essence is not that, but I guess that's kind of how you catch it, right?
So it's almost being like extroverted, where you're just kind of interrupting the other person, butting in and joking and changing the subject and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's kind of how you catch it as well. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, changing the subject, talking about people. A lot of the time, play, what you'll see the savior plays, or like they've got the fear of missing out. They're talking about this friend and then that friend and comparing them. They're seeing the whole spectrum of whatever. So if you do have FE and SE, right? So your play would be FE and SE together, and that would just be seeing the whole spectrum of what's popular, it's also how the tribe sees you and how you see the tribe, right? How you see the extroverted world. Yeah.
Okay. We'll go back to the comments really quick. Flamo had another question. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. You can tell them a little bit better. How do you get yourself tested via objective personality?
Yeah, so that's if you want to get tested a type back from objective personality, you have to join their paywall course for 2 months, and then it's really cheap. You submit a video and you pay to get typed, right? So those are the criteria. If you want some of the cognitive resolution teams, or there's other teams out there, I'm not saying we're the only ones, right? But you could submit to us. There's a website. I don't know if you put it in the description yet, but it will be there at some point.
Yeah.
So you could submit a video there. And other than that, like there's lots of members. They're all willing to type you. We'll all type you completely different, and we'll all type you wrong, but that'll work too.
Give me 1 second.
Oh, Rob's correcting me. It's 3 months, not 2 months. Okay.
Okay. I know it did take some time, so I guess that's why it took some time. It takes several months. Okay.
No, so you didn't get typed by objective personality. You got typed by cognitive resolution, which is like a typing club, typing group, right? So if you want to get typed by objective personality Dave and Shan, then you need to join their class and you need to submit a video to them.
Okay. And for the people that are currently in the live stream right now, I put a link in the comments there for the same process that I went through.
Right.
Okay. Lucy, who's not here in the chat, she left some additional comments here. So I just wanted to open that up and we'll go over that real fast. And I think we'll call it a day.
Nice.
So her notes are a little bit different. So gather, organize. I don't know how it compares to the other one. Drifting throughout life, change my major 3 times. Dreams about freedom, traveling. I hate learning what they want to teach me. So
a lot. Okay, I hate learning what they want to teach me is kind of save or consume thing. But yeah, all of that, some of that other stuff is definitely OE. Yeah, it's gathering. So I don't know. Do you identify with what she's saying there? Does that sound like you?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's her interpreting. Yeah.
I think we don't. Personally speaking, for me, is what I feel as myself as an INTJ. We kind of don't really. Well, there's some that are like some super confident. I guess I could use the T and the A, the turbulent and assertive, which I kind of cringe at. I think it's too broad. But
you get bored easily. You need to keep up. Like, is that kind of? I don't know. How do you view boredom?
Right now I just stay busy. Just try different things. Kind of jump around. I'll do one thing for a while and do another thing because I changed my major 3 times in college. I don't know how someone could sit there for years and study one thing. You know, I don't know because I just see how everything's connected, and I can't really see the reason for studying one thing for so long. I mean, I get it for career purposes and stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like you got some kind of OE going on there, whatever it is.
Okay. And she actually typed me or gave me the intuition result there. Lots of generalization, neglected health, explaining how things work, etc.
Okay, so she's NE herself. Yeah, Lucy's great. She's really funny too. We actually typed her on cognitive resolution before she got typed, and I just remember watching her video, and I just was laughing the whole time. She's a funny girl.
Okay, cool. So ENFP or ENTP?
ENFP, yeah.
ENFP. Okay, cool. All right, and I think everything else kind of lines up here. I might put this report in the description as well. I do say some personal stuff during the video, so I'm not 100% sure I will.
Yeah, there's a link to your YouTube video there, so I don't know if you want that not shared. Maybe don't share that link. Well, I mean, everyone can watch the video now and type it out by hand.
Yeah, I could always just delete the video too.
You could, yeah, or
or make it private or whatever.
But I mean, also if people actually want to get to know you on a personal level, that's nice. Like most people won't, but the people that do, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I rewatched the video, and I don't think there's anything I don't really discuss in my interviews and on my channel, anyways. So, I'll do it, I guess. Yeah. It's like my different YouTube channel too. Not my, it's like my personal one, my personal email too. So it's not this INTJ equation. All right, I've got another question here. Does cognitive resolution use the same extended system?
Yeah, for now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, all of the teams are very independent. The way they type, the method they type, how they get to the result, it's like there's lots of freedom there where they can figure out their own way of doing things. So as long as the results are good, then whatever you did to get to those results, whatever magic you guys did, go for it. Yeah. And teach me, please. Like I want to learn that too. So
yeah, it's interesting. I'm just pretty ignorant on it, so I just wanted to learn.
This is great. Yeah.
So I'm glad we can clarify this.
You have the email. You have the email for the team that typed you as well. So like you can email them and talk to them and get them to explain because like they could probably explain better than me. I didn't actually type you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
maybe they could do like a group chat podcast sort of thing if they're willing.
Yeah, I mean if they're willing, it's up to them for sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming on. Do you have any last questions or comments? What do you personally think I am? I don't know if you type me or if you're comfortable doing that.
I didn't type you. I'm not. it's funny. Although I might not agree with their reasons that they wrote in the comments and stuff like that, I'm not seeing many contradictions between like in the OPS system. So they might be right, actually. Yeah.
Really?
Which is kind of cool. Yeah, I hope they are, because I would be really proud and happy if they were. But I'm skeptical, and I'm not like, I know how hard it is to type, and we're most likely wrong about most people. So just take everything with a grain of salt. But I mean, I don't think they're too far off.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a lot of crossover between INTJs and ESTPs. So
yeah. I mean, from our first talk, I thought you might have been a decider, because I thought you might have been a little bit more weird with people, but the demon play makes more sense with that, and that's probably where it's coming from, because you don't seem to be too hung up on people problems and drama and things like that.
Yeah, I try to avoid it.
Yeah.
I just try to do my own thing.
But like when it does happen, is it something that like traumatizes you and you never really get done processing it? Or is it something that, takes time, but you process it and you move on and it is what it is?
It's a good question. I don't have very many relationships, I guess. So when it does happen, I guess, yeah, I like I discussed on my channel. I think I discussed it with you in our first interview, and I said it on a video that I have avoidant personality disorder and I had a very rough upbringing. So I think I'm just traumatized, and I just don't interact with people because I don't know.
Yeah.
I have that permanent sting on my wrist, I guess.
Yeah. Even the way you just said that, it was just like kind of matter of fact. Like, yeah, this is me. I'm kind of weird, and that's okay. Like, that's kind of an observer way to do things. It's less of a decider way to do things. I would definitely feel less comfortable saying what you just said if it were true.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, Binyamin, he has his YouTube channel. I'll post that down in the description. He also released a music project. It's called Between the Fences, right?
That's the name of the project. Yeah, the name of the album is The Morning After. Sure, check it out. Yeah, why not?
Cool.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, and all the links and stuff, if you want to get type with cognitive resolutions and everything, I'll put that down in the description once I have everything edited. Thank you, everybody, for joining, especially Rob and Inbar for joining here. Thank you for going beyond a clickbait. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.